Welcome back to the Birdhouse Dynasty Trade Show and your host, the Birdman, Chris Lemke. I'm joined today, as always, by Matt English. Matt sporting the winter cap down there in Houston. I'm shocked they even sell those down there for you guys. It's 16 degrees here and we're having a heat wave.
Oh, geez, yeah. So it's 45 and overcast here.
You bastards.
It's so cold though to me. It's so cold.
I'm sure it's cold. Well, we've had single digits here for a couple of days, so yeah, I'm enjoying today somehow, some way.
I
Um,
do not
but hey,
enjoy.
how about that game last night? What a way to kick off Week 14 of the fantasy season. Week 14 for a lot of us in most of our leagues is the final week of the regular season. So we're either vying for a bye or trying to just get into the playoffs. And last night's action with the Cowboys and Lions had plenty to offer. What do you
Uh,
think, Matt? I mean, I know you scooped up Ryan Flournoy in one of our best ball formats just before
yeah,
kickoff. That one kind of
I
paid off for you.
I got him in a couple of leagues. Unfortunately, they are not in leagues I'm contending in. So that would have been a nice little kiss on a contender. But no, that being said, it was a fun fantasy game last night.
Yeah,
I mean, even
74
Amar Ross
points.
suited up, so it was. And then, oh my gosh, it was just fun because I got a lot of pieces in that game. I'm sure you do as well, as do many of our viewers, and
Yes,
that was just a good one.
the only disappointment was Pickens.
Yeah,
Um, I'm disappointed he didn't lay out for that one at the end with under 2 minutes to go. But the TV angle I think made it look more catchable than it actually was. Now I know that Richard Sherman lit up GP after the game for his lack of hustle or just involvement in the game.
yeah,
Like he was disinterested all night, and with CD Lamb going out with the concussion, um, you know, you would have thought Pickens could have easily stepped up
right.
and taken control in that one. And instead, for most of his fantasy teams who've owned him all year, and he's been a significant contributor, huge boost for everybody's lineups who got him. Yeah, he definitely disappointed last night.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. I actually have him on a contending roster, and I mean, I guess that was kind of some of the risk that came with Pickens. If you had him or have owned him in the past, you kind of know this is part of it. But I mean, I get it. With 2 minutes to go, they were down 14. The game was, I mean, pretty much over. Um, but you never know, and it's
Well, they had two timeouts, and if they scored quickly, there was the
right. It's not
possibility.
over.
No, I mean that's why they basically let Gibbs score that third touchdown, so they could get the ball back.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that
Gibbs with a hat trick.
Gibbs just tearing it up. Is he your number one running back in Dynasty now? I mean, is he ahead of Bijan?
Oh yes, for right now,
Yeah, I think
yes.
he's
Yeah,
got to be.
he
Um,
he's had like let's just say one down week over the last 5 or 6 weeks, not including the bye. But
yeah,
he has just been. I mean, and it's not just scoring 20 points every week. I mean, he's hitting 40. I think he even hit a 60 in there in one format, and it's just been it's been great if you own him. If you're playing against him, I mean, you're sweating bullets.
yeah. It just goes to show how what the benefit is of owning players on good offenses versus just players that get volume, right? Like I
Right.
know we're splitting hairs here, and I don't want to waste too much time on Gibbs versus Bijan or Achan, right? But the Detroit offense is simply just in the red zone, and more often than the Falcons or the Dolphins are. And I mean, just like either of those two guys, Gibbs can score on any given play, any touch that he has. He can take it to the house. So, and he's super young yet. So, I mean, yeah, what more could you ask for? So, hopefully for Gibbs owners, that continues on through the playoffs, and you ride him to a championship. But we'll see. I mean, plenty of big games coming up here. I did the start sit show over on the Dynasty Rewind last night, and I was super excited because that was the big game for this week. There's only 2 games with over 50 points for the over-unders this week. And then there's only 2 games at 47.5. All the rest of the games are under 45 points projections. So just to note, we may have had our big fireworks last night, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be tough to get points this weekend. But we'll see. Maybe we'll have some.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Some sneaky performances.
I don't disagree with
Who
you.
knows?
It's the final season or final game of our, final week of our regular season for most of us, and it feels like it's going to be kind of, oh gosh, we're biting our fingers just trying to get through it or score enough points, right? So
Yes.
that being said, I think it'll lead to an explosive playoffs.
Oh yeah, looking
There's
forward
some
to
really,
it.
really good schedules out there for for a lot of good fantasy players. It's just a matter of, are those players in your playoffs? And yeah, we'll get into some of that as we kind of sift through these trades.
Yes, let's get to these trades. And the theme for today basically was contenders versus rebuilder trades. Some of our leagues have trade deadlines, others don't, and we'll be able to continue to trade on into the playoffs. So there's a little bit of a different strategy involved there. But for the leagues where the trade deadline was either last week or now this week, there were some hefty deadline moves. And so we're going to start off with some of I'm sort of just grabbing a low fruit here, but some of the trades here at the beginning were my trades, and the basis of it was getting rid of injured players for players that are actually contributing. And the main 2 that I focused on were Drake London and Garrett Wilson. And so let's get the first ones up here. Now, we're going to start with Drake London deal that I made over in the, let's see here, which league was this? This was the Birdhouse 4. All right.
Oh yes.
And
Mr. trade. Yes.
there we are. So this one I made with Steve S. He's a member of the community.
We made.
Pardon me. We made. I apologize. Yes, this is the Birdhouse squad in the Birdhouse 4, the Birdhouse Dynasty tag team here, we call it. And what we were trying to do here not only was to get off of Drake London, because this is a best ball format, we wanted to get zeros off of our roster. So not only was London, diagnosed with that PCL injury, which left him pretty questionable for the upcoming month, right, as to when he'd be back. Like, he'd go into the week as listed as questionable, but then wouldn't practice. And it was, I don't know, it just seemed pretty obvious to me that they were going to hold him out. Like, the Falcons were out of playoff contention for the most part. And it didn't, plus Michael Penix went down as well then, right? Now they have Kirk Cousins, who's, Cousins at this point in his career is basically just one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, right? But still not that explosive arm or anything that he had back in his days in Minnesota or before that in Washington. So, I wanted to get off of London with any of my teams, especially in best ball, because he was getting zeros for the next few weeks and maybe even the first week of the playoffs, right? And so on top of that, we had Michael Penix. And now Michael Penix, we drafted him solely because we had London, really. Like, he was in a cluster of other quarterbacks in that group when we took him. I wasn't that high on him. to begin with. So now with the injury, I just looked at like I wanted to replace that value, and I think getting off of that stack and getting into Jared Goff and Amon Ra, I'll give up a first and second for that to get that and get those points going forward. We're the 1 seed right now, and we want to hold on to that, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean I think it's kind of a minimal payment to get into this stack for what it could cost, right? So, I mean, Amon Ra, you could demand two firsts, 2 current year firsts, and a second. He's more valuable than London. Goff is more valuable than Penix. Penix, I mean, looking at his injury history, and then now this ACL, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get back. So I think to be able to move off of it that quickly, by only paying a first and second extra or on top of, I think it's a great deal for our team. It's not a bad deal either for Steve in this scenario. As long as Penix comes back, he's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
London
Steve.
will be fine. London will be a top receiver next year and moving forward. He's still got a first and second. Unfortunately for him, that first is going to be late, but it's still a first nonetheless that he can do things with.
Yes. Now, was Steve getting his own first back, or was that our first?
He's getting our first.
Okay. Nonetheless, Steve had some fight back on this one. He really didn't want to give up Amon Ra, but I kept pushing, and that's what ended up making us having to give up the first, really, because initially all he wanted to do was get off of Goff and get Penix, and he was trying to get Penix in a first for Goff. But I was saying, nah, you got to give me Amon Ra if you're going to get a first. So that's really what it boiled down to, and we were able to come to an agreement there. So, yes,
very good.
I am more than happy, and we are looking good going into the first round of the playoffs next week, as I believe we've already locked in the 1 seed in that.
And look, this also takes away a lot of, let's just call it anxiety. You take a guaranteed 0 off of your roster, and then the what if with Drake London. Now, we had made this deal before Amon Ra had hurt his ankle.
So we were definitely holding our breath on Thanksgiving.
So, yeah, we had no, but doing just fine there. But now you don't have to worry about the week-to-week on Drake London, and that's a big deal going into the playoffs.
Yeah, because not only was he not gonna score, but who knows how healthy he'll be when he comes back, right? This injury is basically the same injury that Brock Bowers had. Okay, and we all know what happened to Bowers. Bowers tried playing through it initially, and that's why London was listed as questionable every week, or still is, right? Because you can play through this kind of injury. It's just that your production is going to take a hit, which it did for Bowers, and then he kind of re-aggravated it, had to sit like 5 weeks. And that's just something that you don't want to deal with one of your premier assets, and that's what London is one of our premier players on our team, right?
Yep.
You want to get the more safe. Definitely safety is what comes to mind right away when you get Amon Ra, and the toughness, and you saw it last night. Like, he was fine. He was fine out there on the field playing with a low ankle sprain. So, yeah. More than happy with this deal. Now let's move on here. I'll show you a couple of others, because I had London on a number of my teams as well as Garrett Wilson, and so this one here was in our Skid Marks league. So this is a lineup league. This
Some of the
pretty
league names make
here.
me laugh still. So
made this with Justin, JV Uncut here. So this one here was pretty loaded, a lot of players involved here, but I was sort of getting off of players who were not scoring at all. In fact, all of these players not scoring points. And basically, I was able to get into Travion Henderson and Matthew Stafford is what I did here. Got off of Penix and Garrett Wilson. and got into Matthew Stafford and Travion Henderson, as well as DJ Moore and Tyron Tracy, who are sort of bottom end flex players. But Henderson definitely can be a starter weekly. So you're looking at it here. It's basically Henderson for Wilson, and then Stafford plus whatever. Stafford for Penix is the main thing here. What are your thoughts on this for me and for JV Uncut?
Well, I'm sure in a calculator it all kind of lines up or is close, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm just picking sides, even as a rebuilder. I mean, I like getting Garrett Wilson and Calvin Ridley, Richardson and Penix. Mixon, is Joe even going to play again?
Yeah.
That's look. I think it's great for you. I like Stafford and I love Henderson moving forward. Well, Stafford will, maybe he's got another year or two, but he's producing at a high level. Henderson's done what we kind of thought he would do this year and be extremely explosive in spots. So I think that's a great asset for now and the future. And then Tracy can probably help you out the rest of this year and probably some next year. And then DJ Moore will, I mean, whatever you get out of him this year is great, but hopefully he's traded or in a new environment next year.
Where he needs a new environment next year.
More.
He could come to life once again. I think it's possible. He was just more
out of Chicago. That's why I've held him. Is hoping for next year for him just to. I've tried to trade him, couldn't do it, so I just decided to hold him in hopes that he plays for a new team next year and emerges again as a top receiver.
Yeah.
All right. I love the deal for you. It's not horrible for the receiving party because I mean you're getting Garrett Wilson. Calvin Ridley's not bad, even though he's older. The value will go up. Same with Penix. His value will go back up, and you do get the second. So it's not terrible. I don't like it a lot for him. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, there's a few pieces there that he's going to have to maneuver around to make this work for his rebuild. I know he was trying to shed points too, so I don't know if this makes him move up a spot or even two.
It might be worth it. Yeah.
Like going from the 105 to the 103, let's say.
Yeah,
in the first round.
That's a fair point too.
Because the only first round player worth for a first here is Henderson. I mean, I suppose you could sucker a first out of somebody for Stafford right now. I mean, I wouldn't trade Stafford for anything less than a first right now, the way he's playing. So,
yeah. I mean, if you're a top 3 seed and you really need a quarterback for the playoff push and you got plenty of picks, I'd throw a first for Stafford right now. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
The way he's playing with the 2 receivers and the offense the way it's rolling. Yeah. All right, here's another one. This one was another London deal. And this was with CD Velasquez, with Carlos, member of the community here. This was in the, I forgot to check which league this was. This was the Skid Marks League as well. So
yes, I remember.
I was aggressive in Skid Marks. I had London and Garrett Wilson, and I was, I think, the 3 seed somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And I just knew that I needed to get the points. And so the trouble with it was I was giving up Fossboss's first, and that was a good first.
Pick.
Yeah. So I'm giving up the 102 here, as well as Drake London, to get into some Puka and AJ Brown. So I upgraded even from a healthy Drake London to Puka, and then added AJ Brown here. What are your thoughts here in giving up a pick like the 102? For me, if I'm giving up a pick like that, I gotta be getting into an elite asset like Puka.
Yeah. So the 102, even so, I think Puka's worth more than the 102 right now.
Well, sure.
Fair,
Yeah.
but the 102 makes it a little bit more palatable when I think about it in that context, as opposed to just, oh, it's an early first or mid first, right? The 102, specifically knowing that's what it is, um, makes a big difference. But still, I mean, that's a good deal, man. That's a really good deal. I love that deal for your team. Getting Puka Nakua, AJ Brown's as hot as any receiver is right now. Um,
Now, I believe I
I'm all
made
the
this deal
London. Towns
prior
is
to
another
his
guy,
big
but
game against Chicago
say
last
again.
week. I made this deal prior to AJ Brown's big game against
Yeah.
Chicago last
Well,
week.
he had a decent game the week prior. So
Yeah.
no, I love this deal for you. I think it's good compensation on the other side, but not enough. I think you did well there on the value. I believe.
And plus, if you combine the
I
two
would
deals,
rather
now
have
I got the
Puka and
stack.
AJ than those four assets.
Yeah, I got the Stafford Nakua stack as well now.
Yeah.
If you take into account the previous deal.
And I remember this too because you were hitting me up for a deal, and yeah, there was whatever you put a pause on ours and said, "Oh, I'm going after Puka."
Yeah, I told you straight up. I
Yeah,
forget who
and I was
you
like,
were
okay,
trying
cool.
to
And then,
deal.
I mean, within 10 minutes, you had the deal done, and I was just like, wow, I really didn't think it would be that quick. So,
Well, I knew
uh,
once I was offering Foss first, I'd draw interest. And
yeah,
then
sure, no, that's
and
great.
that's the whole point behind this. You got to be willing to come off of players like Drake London, like Garrett Wilson, who many people in Dynasty won't be. They'll be like, no, they're too young. They're too
They're
like
too
too
elite.
good of an asset. I can't get rid of them, right? Well, if you're making a lateral move and you're getting somebody who's performing the same or whatever, and my point being, and you'll see it in the next deal where I basically traded Garrett Wilson for Lad McConkey straight up, right? And that
That's
benefits both sides. It's a simple deal to make. And so if you had Garrett Wilson or London, and even still right now, they're still both banged up, just look at the bottom four teams in your leagues,
yeah,
find a similar wide receiver to Wilson or London and try and flip them straight up because it benefits the other guy that he's getting the points off his roster and you're getting the points. Now, if he demands that you throw in a third or a second or whatever, then that may be the case, but just try and make it somewhat palatable for yourself.
let
But the
me ask you
main
this.
point, yeah,
Because and look, you know this is I get really I will just say it's annoying when you're trying to make deals and
hmm
people like in that scenario won't come off of whatever. Let me
I'll
ask you
bring
this.
this one up
For
here.
Garrett Wilson, would you
Yeah.
say right now to a contending team, top four team in the league, um, who needs points, right? We're going into the playoffs. It's a super flex league. To offer him Jacoby Brissett, RJ Harvey for Garrett Wilson. Now, this is also
Best ball or
after
lineup?
Harvey's the starter. Huh?
Best ball or lineup?
Lineup.
Okay. And is Brissett going into his lineup right away? I would think so. Like Brissett, I'm
Yeah.
starting Jacoby Brissett this week over Lamar Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
So let's see here. Let me just pull up the dude's roster real quick because, I mean, I'm not mad. It's just it's aggravating, right? You're trying to make moves.
no, I think that's totally fair,
Yeah.
Matt.
Okay.
Jacoby
So
Brissett and RJ Harvey for Garrett Wilson. That
yeah, and look,
if you're
here's the deal.
contending,
He's got Drake May, but he's on bye. And he's got JJ McCarthy. And Kyler Murray's on IR. And
he's got
Shador,
Kyler?
Shador's in his taxi squad. So, yeah, so he's only got two quarterbacks that are active. and one of them's on bye this week. He's the number 4 team, and then he's got J.J. McCarthy. And I offered him
Yeah,
to
I
start
mean,
R.J. Harvey. Now, given he's
I
got
don't.
Jonathan Taylor, but he's starting a Zach Charbonnet and a Quinshon Judkins. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
but he'll be able to flex either Judkins or Harvey then.
Well, yeah, he can flex. Yeah, that's what he's got in his flex is Charbonnet and Judkins, but he could flex Harvey immediately and
Harvey
put in
over
Brissett
Charbonnet, absolutely.
instead of a
Yeah. Now the
receiver.
problem, I don't know where his situation is wide receiver wise, but he should be able to turn around, and if you really want to get a wide receiver, like you could turn around and flip Harvey or turn around and flip uh, um, Judkins or Taylor. Any
Yeah.
of those three
Well,
running backs right now, you could get a good wide receiver for a Lad McConkey, that tier, Mecca Buka, those types of wide receivers you could get right now for any of those running backs. So I don't know. And he's adding Brissett. Seems pretty solid to me.
yeah.
All right. So
And then
whoever's out
also,
there,
that's the other thing that's funny too. Knowing that there's teams in this league that are quarterback needy, you throw up like a Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, and Jacoby Brissett, and no one, all crickets.
yeah.
It's crazy.
I think I
It's a
know
weird
which
league.
league this
It's a weird
is
league,
that you're.
huh?
I think I know which league this is you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. Some
I
guys
was
in
just
that league,
curious
they're
because I didn't think I was crazy for like thinking like, wait, why would you not? Why would you not do it? That's but
no, you're not crazy. That's more than a fair offer in the bottom line. Yes. So here's my last,
first.
and we'll get off the Garrett Wilson, Drake London soapbox here. But here's where I did the basically like I was talking about. This is Best Ball Mania. This is a 12 team best ball, 12 by 12 format. Basically, it started as Garrett Wilson for Lad McConkey. I threw in Connor and Mixon to Foss Boss. He threw in 2 bodies. That's why we do these kind of deals because he doesn't want the points. He's not going to get any points from Connor or Mixon going forward. I was happy to take on a couple of bodies like Xavier Legette and Jeremy McNichols. They might not score or get into my lineup at all. Maybe they'll get in once or twice. Doesn't matter. It's just the structure of the deal. So that I was able to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I had Connor and Mixon sitting on the bottom of my best ball roster, getting me 0.
Yep.
Now I at least have a chance, right? Like I would have traded. You could take Wilson and McConkey out of this deal. I would have traded Connor and Mixon straight up for Xavier Legette and Jeremy McNichols.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Those are the kind of little deals that you can get done in best ball leagues right now. Take a look at the bottom of your roster. If you got guys that are out like for the season on IR, get them off of your roster. They're not going to help you in the playoffs at all.
Bring up that crash and smash trade. That's pretty close to what that is, as far as getting rid of somebody who's hurt probably for the fantasy season, and maybe other pieces to help make the deal work. But getting zeros off your roster to bring in actual production. And I made this deal this past Monday night game during the game, right before the trade deadline ended, like within hours of the deadline.
Oh, let me see. Where is it? Is it not on here?
Should be.
Well, let me look for it.
Oh, well.
Okay. Well, I'll look for that deal. But in the meantime, talk about this one. This one is in my Mojo Forever deal.
Right.
League. Sorry. 12 by 10 lineup league. We had Allen, who just last week missed out on the playoffs with the way the games played out, and so he was out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And Javion cut in the playoffs, but he had Jaden Daniels as his second quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was worried about not having a quarterback. Talk us through why this wouldn't be the way to go about it if you had a Jaden Daniels and we're worried that he, is your second quarterback heading into the playoffs.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm kind of.
It is tight end premium, but it's just a half point premium. So, I mean, I'm just trying to talk up the Warren side a little, but still.
Okay, and it's a one quarterback league or two?
No, it's 2 quarterback.
Okay, so
super flex.
First off, there's these little yellow, or are they green? When it's got the little paper next to it, notifications next to a player's name when they've got an update on them. So when you see that, you might want to
it's yellow.
Tap your player.
Or green. It's green.
Yeah, you might want to tap your player and read it, because even for the most passive fan, that's a very simple thing to do and keep tabs on what's happening. And you would have seen how Jaden Daniels was progressing in his recovery. And you might not have been so jumpy to trade him off. Maybe you just go pay like a second rounder for Tyler Shook. Oh, that's who you got in the deal.
Or Marcus Mariota. Why not go for a
pay a fourth
for
Mariota? I paid a fourth for Mariota. So either which way, you could have paid a third or a fourth for Mariota just to get you through that week, because you'd have seen that, or you would have waited one extra week, and you would see that Jaden's back in practice, and by yesterday practicing in full, and then you would have had your quarterback back. So
that's the first part of it, is not looking at the updates.
Yeah. Right. Look at the updates. See, the next part is you send Daniels out for Tyler Shook and Tyler Warren, and whereas I love Warren. I think he's fantastic. A lot of upside. Yeah, it's a tight end premium, but like you mentioned, it's only a half point. That's not break the bank for tight ends type land or area. So I'm extremely high on Warren, but for Jaden Daniels, Tyler Warren and Shook, just, man, you good for. Just I wouldn't have done that. That's horribly undervalued, even with the injury and having to wait one extra week.
Even if Daniels wasn't playing the rest of the year, I wouldn't be making this deal.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. Perfect way to put it.
Jaden Daniels is, I believe, QB4 right now in most of the Dynasty rankings. He's somewhere in that range, right? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Still, even with all the injuries that he's had this year, that just shows that he's risen to an elite status in the community at quarterback. And those types of assets should be nearly unattainable unless you get something that you're absolutely blown away with. Like, you could add a first to Tyler Warren and Shook, and I don't think I'd do it for Jaden Daniels.
No.
Right? If you throw 2 firsts on there, then you got me interested. Okay? The point being, you take first rounders, and how many first rounders do you have to get before you hit on a quarterback like Jaden Daniels?
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like, how many dart throws do you need? They only come around once every 2 or 3 years. Types of quarterbacks that are in that level.
And you got to make sure you have to pick high enough to get them.
Right, and then you still need to pick the right one.
Or know where that quarterback is going to fall and make sure you have the pick to get him. Right?
Right. Like Jaden Daniels, I mean, some people were, like you, I know, were higher on him than Caleb Williams, so you were more than willing to drop back a spot or two in that particular draft class, right? Mm-hmm. and take Jaden Daniels
Yep.
instead of Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
But
And then this past season, it was Jackson Dart having a late
right,
first or an early second, depending on when you were drafting, to go get Jackson Dart. Dart was the
instead of
quarterback
Cam
this year.
Ward. Yeah.
So
And
not Cam.
so you
Cam Ward.
gain a
Cam Ward,
little.
for fantasy purposes, has been, as he would say, ass.
Yes. So the bigger point here, though, is what do you do with your top flight quarterback assets, like especially in a lineup league. In best ball, maybe a little different. I might be a little more loose with one of the higher end quarterbacks just because you can get more assets and you need more assets in best ball. But in a lineup league, like these kind of assets are almost untradeable for me.
Yeah, you can't do that. Let me actually, in best ball, I did trade Jaden Daniels, but it was the week he got hurt. I traded him immediately as a top 3 team because I had to have quarterback production. And at the time, I only had 3 quarterbacks. And then that put me short one quarterback, one elite quarterback. So I had to make moves to kind of right the ship. Do you remember that deal?
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So explain why in best ball it behooves you to have 2 or 3 quarterbacks versus one elite quarterback.
Well, that's very simple. It's going to take the best of those 3, and so if you can increase the size of the pool in which it pulls from, then your chances of having the better scores or higher scores put in is higher.
Right.
Right.
So you can capture those weeks where a Geno Smith starts the season off hot and is scoring 25 points a week. Meanwhile, in a lineup league, you're sitting Geno Smith on your bench and you're not getting anything for it, right? In best
Right.
ball, you do capture all those weeks. So I'm not saying I do this, but like in a best ball format, you could trade a Jaden Daniels for a Matthew Stafford, Michael Penix, and Geno Smith, right? And that probably favors the Jaden Daniels side, or at least at the beginning of the year, it definitely would have favored the Jaden Daniels side on a calculator, right?
Right.
But if you go over the course of this season and you see what the war of attrition can happen to, as it did with Jaden Daniels, you would come out light years ahead. Even with Penix getting hurt, you would come out light years ahead with the Stafford, Penix, and
Geno.
who was the other? And Geno Smith side,
Yeah.
because way more weeks those quarterbacks got into your lineup. Like if you have 3 dart throws, you're much more likely to get to that 25 or 30 point threshold every single week with one of them versus just having one single guy and banking on him having to get to that threshold every single week. It's tough to do in best ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and look, I'll explain out on my trade that I made. So the week that Daniels got hurt, that next week, right after waivers had passed, I traded Jaden Daniels and then another top asset that hasn't been producing as well due to play of the rest of his team, Justin Jefferson. So I took Justin Jefferson, packaged him with Jaden Daniels. Excuse me. And then in return, and see, this is another thing too, and we've harped this all season long, and we'll continue to do it, is know your league mates and know how to trade with them. So I knew this in particular league mate was prisoner to keep trade cut. And sometimes that can help you. Sometimes it really kills you. So like I said, I traded Jaden Daniels, Justin Jefferson, and in return, I went out and got Dak Prescott and CD Lamb and O'Marion Hampton. Which, on a keep trade cut calculator, it's a fair deal. But in my mind, it's killer for me.
Yes.
Because now I get a young running back on a contending team, which so it fits. The glove fits.
And you're getting 3 starters. He's only getting 2.
Correct. Absolutely. And look, I know Dak's older, but CD and Jefferson are the same age, and I got O'Marion Hampton. and I cured my quarterback hole. You know,
Yeah.
so there's ways to recover these things and ways not to.
Yep.
No.
And in best ball, it's much easier to fill those holes. Like you can pick up
Yeah.
quarterbacks who backup quarterbacks who get starts on a weekly basis because of an injury. You can plug those onto your best ball
Yep.
roster, and they could get into your lineup without having to necessarily bet on being like, okay, yeah, he's going to do it this week,
Right.
like you do in a lineup league. Right. Here's your
Right.
crash and smash trade. I found it.
Yes.
And so on your
Yes.
side, so this is a 12 by 11 best ball format. We have three or four IDPs in this league, but that's not important in this deal. So you got Chris Godwin and Trey McBride by giving away Aronde Gadsden, Torrey Horton, Jalen Lane, and your 27 first, as well as a third.
Yes.
So from my end, I look at it like it's Gadsden and a first for McBride, which the way they've been playing the last few weeks, I mean, you can see the difference between McBride and Gadsden. Gadsden was hot there for a minute, for about a month. He was running good. But he's not the elite type of target getter that McBride is. Like McBride
Yeah.
is
That's right.
locked and loaded as to me, I would probably take McBride over Bowers in a startup now. I don't know necessarily if you put a gun to my head what I would do, but like
Best tight end in
McBride
fantasy.
is so consistent. Bowers is more up and down with those huge boom weeks.
Yeah.
But you're splitting hairs. The point being is that they're both better than Aronde Gadsden. And I would pay a first to get to that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you got Chris Godwin, who can get into your lineup a few times maybe. And get rid of Horton, who's injured, and Jalen Lane, who's not really doing a whole lot.
Not doing a whole lot. Correct.
Borderline cuttable.
And look, if I may kind of defend my thinking here, that's the same league I described with the Jaden Daniels trade that I did. This is the very same league. I also had Malik Neighbors go down, in which I had to deal that guy off, which I didn't want to do, but got Jahmyr Gibbs. So that worked out well. Anyhow,
Yes.
I've been kind of the tight end spot has been a question mark for me all season long. I knew it coming into the season. I hit on Gadsden, and I think he's going to be their tight end of the future. I think he brings a lot to the table for LA, but I just if I'm going to win this year, like I need consistency on certain parts of my roster. McBride gives me that, and he gives me high level production consistently, which is super important. So, and then Godwin, I need players that are going to get into my lineup, and Lane and Horton aren't going to do it right now. So, I actually love Torrey Horton. You know this; he's a flag plant guy for me, but he's on IR, and he's not going to help me win a championship this year. So it's time to move on and get the pieces right. Here's something else I'd like to mention to people. I don't think you should shy away from deals if they're good deals and make sense for you, because you don't want to come off a player or you don't want to come off the draft capital, more important. Because here's what's great. If you're getting top production or top producing assets, you can always trade them again. Always. Always. I made a deal for Javonte Williams last week and ended up losing anyway. I'm not making the playoffs. Traded him away this week to another contender. You know, don't be afraid to take a risk and go for something if you still have an exit. Got to leave yourself an exit. But if you've got one of those, go for it. Go for it. Make deals. It's fun.
Yes.
Way more fun. It's free.
I think that the word dynasty, the word itself, just gets people sometimes, especially newer players to Dynasty, they get into this mindset like, oh, I just bought this guy for his career.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so, and then I'm talking about the Garrett Wilson type thing, right? Like, just because you have Garrett Wilson doesn't mean that there isn't 6 or 7 other Garrett Wilsons out there. Like, maybe his roster construction means that he needs a young wide receiver. Well, if you've got RJ Harvey and Quinshon Judkins, you can easily go get a different young wide receiver with one of those guys, but you can at least get points from those guys right now instead of not getting any points from a Garrett Wilson.
Correct. Correct.
So I hate to keep harping back to that, but it just makes no sense to just hang on to a Garrett Wilson. If you're talking a guy in a tier above, then I can understand wanting to hang on to him a little more, like a Malik Neighbors, Puka, Jamar Chase, Jefferson, those guys in that tier. Right. Jefferson's a great example. Like right now, if you have Justin Jefferson, what are you doing with him? Because he's not scoring. We don't know if he will score going forward because McCarthy's going to be the quarterback for the rest of the season. And I mean, a lot of teams that have Jefferson, they're not really up there in the top 4 or 5. Now, I've got one team that's really good that has Jefferson, and I'm kind of just sitting on him because I don't need to split him up, or I don't need to try and flip him. Trying to flip him 1-for-1 for a producing wide receiver in that tier is going to be super tough right now. You're going to give up extra. So in that regard, I'm just holding. But if you're on the fringe and like somebody offers you a Emeka Egbuka in a second, that's tough. It's tough right now.
Yeah.
Or if they offer you, what if they offer you a Emeka Egbuka and Javonte Williams, right?
Ooh.
What are you doing there, right?
That's tough, man. But I like Egbuka though. I think Egbuka's it, right? But it's tough because Mike Evans is getting healthier. Chris Godwin's already back. For like right now, that's tough. And Javonte's not putting up huge numbers right now, but he's putting up all right numbers. That's a tough call, man. That is a good one, Chris. I like that one.
These kind of things they're just floating around in my head all day long. These kind of trade scenarios. What if I did this? What if I did
I have a share of Drake London and a share of Justin Jefferson, 2 different leagues. Shopped him out before the deadline, couldn't get it done. Ooh, that was a good one you just passed, but whatever.
All right, so here's the fantasy fisting frenzy, where there has been a frenzy of deals over the last couple of days, really. I want to go try and get back to the beginning here of that frenzy of deals. Okay, so
start with yours.
We'll start with this one and then move down. So this one here, I'm wanting to get points here, and I'm in 3rd place in this league. It's the first year, and I had 3 firsts for 2026. So I'm at the point where it's crunch time now. Do I want to hold on to all of those firsts? There's no trade deadline, right? But I also want to try and get the bye. And if I win this week, I could get the bye. So I went ahead and dealt 2 mid-firsts, these are, and Tootin for Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, and Javonte Williams. Now, in a calculator, depending on which one you use, may favor one side or the other slightly. I think this is pretty even. To me, Tootin and Javonte Williams, pretty close. And then a first for Adams, first for A.J. Brown right now, I think is about right for the market price. Adams, just because he's performing so well, like, you're not getting him unless you're giving up a first right now. Correct. Say what you want about him being 32, 33 years old. Guy's leading the league in touchdown catches by a mile right now. And it just seems like him and Stafford are in this zone where they can't be stopped inside the 5-yard line.
Yep.
So yeah, I love this deal. I don't know. And again, to your point that you just made a couple of trades ago, where you said you traded away Javonte or traded for Javonte Williams, and then you turned around because you didn't need him anymore. You turned around and flipped him right away.
Yeah.
I can trade away all three of these guys come the end of the season. Now I'm probably not getting a first for Devontae Adams in a month, right?
You might, though. You might,
Might be
dude.
able
If
to.
everything holds tight, let's just say LA goes to like the NFC Championship game, no one gets hurt,
And
like,
he's still producing. Yeah,
and he's
then
still
I could probably
producing.
do it.
He doesn't. He stayed healthy all year, and like he
Yeah.
looked good in New York last year, and I think he's one of those guys that's like a Tony
Larry
Gonzalez. He
Fitzgerald.
just keep playing, man.
Larry
Mhm.
Fitzgerald. That's who.
Yeah, Larry Fitz. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great. And like you mentioned, he and Stafford's connection inside that red zone, I mean, they know, like, we're going Puka between the 20s, and then when we get close, it's all Devontae.
Yeah.
That's and it works. It works very well, very
Yeah.
well. So, and we kind of knew that about Adams going into this year, that this was what he could do, and you just kind of had to put a lot of faith in Sean McVay and Matt Stafford that it would, and it really has. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing this did, because it's his best ball, right? So it's not like I had to plug all three of these guys now into my lineups and take points out of my lineup. Because this is best ball, I was able to cut the bottom two guys on my roster who were likely, zeros or not getting into my lineup. I had constructed this team well enough that I had already gotten rid of all my injured players. But yeah, I literally cut Max Brosmer and Teddy Bridgewater. So now it just makes it just makes my roster as a whole, top to bottom, in best ball. This is why I love best ball, and I think people don't understand this, because people hear the term best ball, and even in Dynasty, they think, oh, I can draft my team and just kind of forget about it, right? For me, I am more active in my best ball leagues week to week on waivers, on everything, than I am in my lineup leagues. My lineup leagues, I got 12 to 15 guys, and I know those guys are on my team, but the bottom 15, yeah, I might churn a few, but in a lineup league, I'm more likely to let a young, not performing guy like, say, a Torrey Horton, right? Just let him sit and marinate on my roster.
Right.
But in best ball, I'm actively trying to get rid of a Torrey Horton right now, right? Give me somebody that can at least get points this week for me, possibly. I don't care if it's Turpin or it happens to be Ryan Flournoy. That's the whole point of it, right? Is you get those Ryan Flournoy points any given week. I was talking earlier this week on my waiver video over on Dynasty Rewind about how many players have how many wide receivers have quote unquote hit, right?
Right.
And I proposed this question to you earlier, so you know the answer, but how many wide receivers have had one single week over 15 points this year? And you know the answer. And now Flournoy becomes another one. So it was...
That's right. 56 now? Is that what it is?
What?
56?
No, it was 108 had done it once.
Okay, I'm off on the numbers.
108 different wide receivers have done it, gone over 15 points, and that just emphasizes the point that in best ball, you want to have bodies on the bottom of your roster that could get into your lineup on any given week. So we had Flournoy this week, right? Last week it was A.D. Mitchell. He got into everybody's lineup. The week before it was John Mechie. So that's the point here, is churn that bottom of your roster in a best ball format. We seem to have lost Matt here for a second. I'll wait for him to get back on. But yeah, there's one example where I was able to help the bottom end of my roster by gaining 3 players opposed to 1. I definitely trust that Javonte Williams will get into my lineup over Bashul Tutin. I like Bashul Tutin a lot, and he was one of my most owned players in Dynasty going into this season. And he's done pretty much what I expected. Like, him and Travis Etienne have split touches right now. Any given week, one can outscore the other. But I'm willing to get off of Tutin as I go into the playoffs to get a more stable volume getter in Javonte Williams. That makes more sense for my team. And for your team here, Matt, you got Tutin. Again, I like Tutin. You got him now, though, so I don't hate your side of it either. Where are you at in the standings here?
Which one is this? Fisting Frenzy? Yeah, so I was seventh, but
You're
mathematically I can't get in.
Right. So it completely makes sense
if I win
for you.
and the 3 teams in front of me lose, they've got me in points. So there's no way I can get in.
So going into the offseason, Adams and Brown are older wide receivers. You're much more flexible with the 2 firsts.
Yeah, and more importantly, it's my first that I'm getting back as well.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to kind of slow down the scoring and maybe drop another spot. But,
you might gain.
Pick up floor noise, so
I
don't know.
And we'll see. I mean, that could be super important because as of right now, I don't know if you guys.
Look, if you go one down, you'll see the trade I made right behind it as well as I was clearing off the roster, right?
Yeah. But the point is, you got your first back, and now you can afford to lose this week and hopefully gain a spot. And if you saw my rookie tier video that I did the other night, my top 25 2026 rookie players, as of right now, there's a tier break between picks 4 and 5 for me, at least.
Gotcha.
You've got Jeremiah Love at the top, the running back from Notre Dame, and then you've got a cluster of 3 wide receivers that are very solid, looking like the top 3 wide receivers in the draft. They're all going to go in the first round for sure. They're all locked and loaded, like good, solid, they should come out and be able to play right away type wide receivers. And then you have a tier break where you get into the quarterbacks and the next level of wide receivers.
Right, okay.
Jeremiah Love at running back is so far ahead of everybody else right now. The next cluster of running backs is a cluster of 4 or 5 of them. Right. And they're not going to go until the back end of our first round of rookie drafts. Okay, there's no other running back right now that is a first round talent. Okay, there's 4 or 5 of them that could go on day 2 of the NFL draft. But what that means is they're going to be going into committee type situations, right? And there's going to be uncertainty on their volume. Jeremiah Love's coming in, and he's going to be like Ashton Genty or Omarion Hampton this year, where they're going to be he's going to be expected to be the bell cow.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, here's your next deal. This one you snuck a defensive player in on it. This was with Sam in that same league, Fantasy Fisting Frenzy.
Yeah.
You were able to, now Sam's contending here, okay? He's in like 4th place, I think, in this league.
Yeah.
You were able to get your guy Jaden Higgins, Pat Bryant, who I like, and his 27 first. In return, you gave up Chris Olave, Kenneth Walker, and Danielle Hunter. Now, let's give some context here. Danielle Hunter is probably worth close to a first, I would say.
Probably worth the first.
Format, late first, something like that, right? Any big sack getters, we get 10 points for a sack. So we wanted to make the defensive player, the higher-end defensive players, at least somewhat valuable. It is best ball, so they randomly get into your lineup. But yeah, when Danielle Hunter gets a sack or 2, he's getting 20-plus points on any given week there. But anyway, back to the players here. You've got Olave and Kenneth Walker going to the other side. You're getting Jaden Higgins and Pat Bryant. I like them both in best ball. go ahead, Matt. Explain your side here.
Right. So whereas defensive players hold a lot of value when it comes to trading them, because I can go pick one off the waiver wire, because Daniil Hunter is older, like 33, I think.
I don't think he's that old yet. I think he's 30.
He's
But either
over
way.
30. But it doesn't matter. He's over 30.
Yeah.
And either which way, he's a great player, but I value him less in a deal. I just do.
He doesn't have the name cachet of like TJ Watt. We'll put it that way. He's similar age to Watt, but Watt has more cachet.
It's not Micah Parsons who's going to demand more draft capital, right? So it's really more of a throw-in and a thank you for doing business with each other throughout the year.
It's a good move for Sam.
Really, yeah. Wait, what?
It's a good move for Sam. I like it.
No, it's great because that's going to help him in the playoffs. Absolutely. Olave's got a great schedule rest of season, and Kenny Walker. I mean, as long as in Seattle, his value in production is going to stay suppressed. He does a lot of work, and then they go ahead and hand all the touchdown carries to someone else.
Yeah.
So it's a frustrating asset. But and I really didn't want to trade Olave. I tried to wiggle out of that and trade him Devonta Smith instead. But he was pretty hard-pressed on Olave. I was pretty hard-pressed on the two receivers I wanted. So getting Higgins.
You were willing to go. That's a great example of where you were willing to pivot because Olave and Devonta Smith are basically the same player.
Right.
You can't be too name eccentric.
Right. I prefer Olave because he plays in New Orleans and he's the only guy right now. However, he wanted him, so okay, fine, let's go that way. But if you're going to stick your foot in the sand on that one, I'll stick my feet in the sand and dig in for Higgins and Bryant. I didn't have any shares of Pat Bryant, so I wanted to get some of that. Plus, between he and some of the other guys, I won't get into who they were, but he does have a chance to be the alpha in Denver because he's built more to Cortland Sutton type. So we'll see how that unfolds. And then I get a 27 first to add to next year's draft class. Totally good with that. And I'm comfortable with it. So off those trades, I brought in 3 firsts. And 3 rookies, right? A running back and 2 receivers. So it was a good trade day for me.
Yeah.
That's
Sam,
it. So
Wolsters
real quick.
Wolsters
I'm out of the playoffs. Can't get in. Let's shed it while we still can.
Yep.
And
all right, let's see here.
It didn't take long. It really did.
Okay, here is another one here just done. Actually, this morning between Mike Woe, another member of the community, and Spencer. Spencer going for the title here. And, here we go. Let's see. There we go. Now we can see the deal. Okay, so Mike Woe's side, Mike is out of the playoffs. He can't get in. He could win and tie, but then he'd lose on the points because he's so far behind in points. So he decided to get out while he could. Me. Yes.
I'm 7, he's 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's
boat.
Getting out while he can. And deal here that I kind of like for both sides. I don't know that I would have paid this much for the side that Spencer got, but he is getting JT and he's making the bet on Jonathan Taylor, really is what this one boils down to. Mark Andrews in this format. I don't know that he's worth a first anymore, but
he did just sign that 3-year extension.
He did sign that extension.
More insulated.
He's a little more insulated for sure. Now, if Lamar can figure out how to perform again, it might come to fruition. But he gave up. So Spencer gave up his 26 first, which is going to be late. All right. He gave up his 27 first, which we don't know where that will be.
Should be mid to later. Should be.
Second as well. So gave up Kyle Monungai, Sam Laporta. Like, he gave up some good pieces here, especially in Laporta, Monungai, and the 2 firsts, all to go after JT and Mark Andrews, as well as Xavier Worthy's been disappointing, super disappointing. I would even go as far as saying,
He's a
like, if
high
you look
cost
at his
gadget guy.
numbers,
High cost
Xavier
gadget
Worthy,
guy.
yes, Xavier Worthy is somebody who you would think in best ball would be great, but I don't know that he's at a game over 20 points this year.
Last week he didn't he go over 20 last week? Well, I guess it depends on the format, but
Maybe he did for once. We'll see. Maybe that's what happens going forward. He gets to 20 once or twice more. But again, he is worth having on your best ball roster, because worst case he sneaks in as a flex on the bottom end of your lineup. So I don't totally hate it from Spencer's side. This is probably what Mike was demanding he'd get in order to get off of JT, was 2 firsts. Or you can look at it like a first and second and Monungai for JT.
yeah.
Laporta, I'm not super high on. I know his dynasty value is high. But getting Andrews obviously gets him points. And then Chris Godwin versus Zacchaeus and Naylor, whatever. And then you got a first for Worthy, basically. So I think that value-wise, it's pretty even. And again, this was a contender versus retooler type deal. Why don't we bring up the fantasy fisting frenzy?
I wanted to just say, if I may, I love this side for Mike's team. Love it. I mean, like you said, ultimately he's giving up Jonathan Taylor, and that's it. And
Yeah,
he gets
all the other
for the future, Laporta, Zacchaeus, and Naylor, whatever. And then 2 firsts, 2 firsts and a second for Monungai and Laporta for that side, dude. All day. Like, Mike killed that deal, I think.
Yeah,
no diss on Spencer, but that's just murdering it.
So here's the fantasy fisting frenzy league. Here's the bar graph for the power
Well, it
rankings.
says I'm not very valuable. I disagree.
Well, you helped yourself in getting those couple of firsts,
Yeah,
Matt.
3 firsts.
There you are, near the bottom. Okay, but you're third in draft capital now.
Yeah.
You're frisky, and 6 and 7 on the outside looking into the playoffs. Let's bring up Spencer's team here now. As you see, he's near the bottom in value. However, his starter rank is 5th after this. Now, again, it's best ball, so you still want to look how deep that starter rank goes.
Right.
And you can see he's got decent guys down there like A.D. Mitchell and Darnell Mooney, who can still get into lineups, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, Shakir. So his wide receiver room, he's built a little differently in more of quantity over quality, which is fine. You can make that work. Same with the tight end room now. And he's got Andrews, Ertz, and then Jonnu and Fant can kind of get in there once in a while. But adding JT, now he has the power at running back there in Gibbs, JT, and Saquon every given week. We'll see how the Herbert injury plays out. I think he'll be fine. It's a left wrist injury, so he should be able to play the rest of the season.
Non-throwing injuries over the last few weeks. Non-throwing arm or hand, seems like.
Yeah. But here's his team. It's definitely got more of a chance to win. That's for sure. If we look at where's Mike Woe's team? Here it is. The guy who he dealt with. You can see Mike's team here. He's been actively trying to trade and acquire and build for the future. He, at the beginning of this season in this league, ironically, you see I'm up at the top. I gave him Justin Jefferson straight up for 3 firsts, all 3 of his firsts. And in spite of that, and me not using any of those firsts to trade for any players up until now, this point, I was able to have the most points scored in this league. I'm in 3rd place, but I have the most points.
This is
So
the
it
one
just
where
goes
you
to show
drafted like 6-7 quarterbacks, right?
No,
That was
not this
Taco?
league. That was Taco. But I
Okay.
still have 4 quarterbacks.
Okay,
And-
now wait. Yes, this is the league that I remember this. Okay, I remember how you drafted this league now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I got May in like the 4th round, I think. These guys just weren't as high on quarterbacks. So I was more than happy to grab that and then get Baker and McCarthy in the same area and then Stafford much later.
Yep.
But you can see that Stafford Puka stack has definitely helped out. Running back, I was super ugly. Like I just got Javonte Williams
From me, yeah.
from
Yeah,
you.
I remember.
I was riding DeAndre Swift and Rico Dowdle
Hey, they weren't bad fixes, you know.
all season. Rico Dowdle and DeAndre Swift. But when you had, wide receivers that go like this, where I was getting Keenan Allen and Mac Hollins into my lineup, Jacoby Myers, Alec Pierce had a hot stretch this year. You can see how I constructed
Jameson's
this
been
wide
big.
receiver room.
Yeah,
What's that?
like Puka, Rome, and then a bunch of value guys.
Right. These guys are all able to get into my lineup every single week. And that's where the key is. Yes, I have Puka, so I have a heavy value investment there. But the rest of the guys, there's not a whole lot of value there.
Yep.
Tight end, I did just get Tyler Warren a few weeks ago in a deal where I didn't have to give up a first. So I was more than happy to do that one. I had been riding Kittle all season, so I feel very strong with the tight ends here. That's the key in this league because it's a 1.25 tight end premium, something crazy. So like Hunter Henry and Dalton Schultz have been getting into my lineups
A
consistently.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the key. Know your format. I got all Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, all super late in the draft, and they've been paying off handsomely all season, getting into the lineup. And so if that's the kind of format you're in, know where you can get ugly points, I guess, is the thought there.
Points. Yeah.
Let's see.
Ugly points
bring-
count just the same as pretty points.
That's right. Bring up your squad here now, Matt, as you're looking forward to the off season. Now you got 2 firsts in the upcoming draft. You got Nico, Travion Henderson. Those are the main guys you're building around. Your QB room isn't terrible with Stroud, Daniel Jones going forward. Who knows what Tyler Shook has in store for him in the future, whether New Orleans goes and grabs a quarterback. What do you think as of right now? What do you think the Saints are leaning? Are they going to grab a quarterback in the first round, or do you think that they go with Shook? And
So, man, that's tough to say. It really depends on how they trade pieces away prior to the draft. Because, I mean, the defense, where its strengths seem to be, are aged, right? So, like, Cam Jordan's not going to be here next year. He can't be. So, we'll see I personally think that they ought to be drafting defense. They need to draft an edge rusher. Go ahead and do that. I think that'll help tremendously, and that's probably the play with the first pick or the first round is to get an edge rusher. But if they're not drafting a quarterback, they should be. But then again, who knows what Mickey Loomis has got going on in his head? My God. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him draft a quarterback. I would be shocked if they didn't. I really would be, because I mean everything for the Saints rebuild right now. This is what a rebuild looks like. Number one, number two, it's what a decent rebuild looks like. They moved off of some players by the trade deadline, and they still have some players that need to go as well, just strictly on age. But we'll see what they do. They played the rebuild right. Shook has looked. He's looked really good at times, and he looks like a rookie at others. But with what he's given and what he's being asked to do, Shook's done the job that he needs to do. But like I said, I fully expect New Orleans to draft a quarterback. I don't know when. I don't think it'll be higher than the third or fourth round, but I could see him drafting another quarterback. I think Shook's going to be the guy, at least until they get their hands on an absolute stud. I think it's edge rusher in the first, and then next year, if they're going to replace Shook, it's going to be next year's draft, or they'll just bring in a vet. But I don't think they're going to do that. So.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a cluster of quarterbacks in the second tier, starting with like Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. There's Lenora Sellers, who may or may not come out. So there's some names out there. Cade Klubnik, Carson Beck, both of them have taken a fall, taken a tumble, which is kind of why I'm glad I waited to put out my first set of top 25 rankings, because just going back to last year and the rookie class from last year, like my first set of, I remember last year in September, I did my first top 25, and I had Carson Beck up there in like the top 5, right? Because he was a quarterback at Georgia. He was looking good, blah, blah, blah. Cam Ward, though, I had just as an honorable mention. You could see how they flipped, literally, yes. Where Cam Ward became the 101, and whatever, around the 5th or 6th pick in our rookie drafts, and Carson Beck literally fell off the map so much that he stayed and took over for Cam Ward in Miami.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And now coming out with a set of rankings at this point in the year, you get a better picture on the quarterback. And quarterbacks in our Superflex and 2 quarterback leagues, they really drive the class. Like when you have a hefty quarterback class like we did 2 years ago with Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, all those guys, that made that draft, just made that class, all of those picks that we had in that class, so valuable. Just so valuable.
4 starting quarterbacks came out of that draft. 4 still starting quarterbacks.
And McCarthy, if you want to count
McCarthy 5, that's right, because he's starting now, so 5.
Yeah, and Penix is injured. Yeah. He'd have been the 6th.
Keep going.
Right?
And so if Dak gets hurt, then Joe Milton could be one too. So
absolutely.
So he's actually looked good with the limited reps he's had. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's the point, and that's why part of the reason why the 27 class is looked at so heavily, because Arch Manning's coming out there, and say what you want about how Arch has performed, he still has that name value, and I don't care who you are, you have to know that the Manning name alone is going to carry some weight.
Yep.
And I mean, when I watch Arch, he reminds me more of Eli than Peyton. Okay. But Eli was the 101 in his draft. over Roethlisberger and Phillip Rivers, like two other
Yeah.
borderline Hall
Wow.
of Fame quarterbacks, right? So, I mean, Arch has got the pedigree. I think once he gets to the NFL stage, I think he'll be able to bring it together a little bit more. And again, that name cachet alone, that brings people into the seats,
Right.
right? And whoever gets him is going to have what they consider a franchise savior, most likely.
Well, that'll be the
So
expectation for sure.
that'll be the expectation at least, and that's going to drive our rookie pick values up for
Oh yeah.
sure. And then you've
Along with
got other
Jeremiah Smith as
quarterbacks.
well coming out.
Yes, there's other solid quarterbacks in that class on top of Jeremiah Smith, who we all know right now is probably the best wide receiver prospect since Jamar Chase. So, I mean, put it this way: his fellow wide receiver Carnell Tate, who's coming out this year, he is one of those top 3 wide receivers.
Yep.
He's going to be picked in the top 15 of the NFL draft. He's going
Yeah.
to
He's
come
a
into the
stud.
league and be similar to what Emeka Buka's done
Yeah.
in Tampa.
Man.
He's going to be NFL ready.
Ohio State is just like they vomit top receivers. They just vomit. Boom, top 5 receiver. You know, it's.
Well, and it's coaching there. There's a guy, Brian Hartline, if you remember him from his
I
NFL
know
days.
Brian Hartline.
He
Oh,
is
yeah.
a savvy. He was a savvy wide receiver in the NFL. He hung on for years, and he's teaching all of those nuances of the game. You can tell to these dudes
Yeah.
at Ohio State,
Well, he's doing
making
a
them
fine
accountable.
job of it too.
Because all these guys from Ohio State, they come in and they're, you can tell that they've been coached well.
Yeah.
And yes, Marvin Harrison may not have elevated his game to that level that we've all hoped when we picked him yet, but you kind of saw it last week. I watched the Tampa Arizona game, and before Marv got the heel injury, the opening drive, Jacoby Brissett hit him 3 times on simple slant plays. And it was
Well, it
like,
helps
where
have a
were these?
quarterback that can go through progressions. That's going to help him tremendously.
Absolutely. So if Brissett is at the helm next year, you can. I say Marv is elevated on my draft board at least. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. If Arizona just has a quarterback that can go through their progressions, everybody will be fine.
Yes.
So
All right. Well, let's end it on that. Unless you've got something else to add, why don't you just wrap? Give a summary going into Week 14 here and your fantasy playoffs if you have a trade deadline or if you don't have a trade deadline.
Yeah. So I mean,
type
look,
of
for you
advice?
contenders, you get rid of the hurt players, the zeros. You get rid of the young guy who's you love, but he's just not going to get into your lineup. Go use that. Go use that. Put a pick with it. Put another player with it, and bring in production. You need production. If you're the rebuilder or the retooler playing for next year, you want all those players. You want the hurt players. We've said it before. Ridley's the best example. Yes, he's old. Yes, he's hurt. But after the season's over and we get closer to draft time, his value's going to go up because he's Calvin Ridley. And all they have is rookies. Right now, all they have is rookie receivers. So
Calvin
gotta
Ridley,
be smart
James
about it.
Conner, Joe Mixon, all those
That's
guys have hope.
They all have hope.
Yes.
They all have
You
hope.
can get something.
But those are the kind of things you can capitalize on. And you don't even really need to equate their value into your trades. You can just have them thrown in. Well, Ridley you do. But like for a Mixon, you can just have him thrown into the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I have one share of Joe Mixon. Hit me up. I will just let me throw him into your deal. Please.
Now, and the other thing to keep in mind as well, look forward, put yourself in your own shoes in 1 month, right? And what is that 27 or 26 second going to be worth versus what it is right now today. That 26 second is going to be exponentially more valuable
Yeah.
as we go into the NFL Combine. This, first of all, the Senior Bowl, then the NFL Combine, and we start talking about all these rookies. And then we have the hype month of the free agency, and we talk more about these rookies and start getting really excited about them, and then it just peaks at the end of April. Though that value of those second, thirds, and fourths, you're going to see that value come to life. So go out and get those picks from the contenders
Yeah.
who are more than willing to throw them at you right now for points that they need and want, because they want to win. That is the ultimate goal. And if you're not going to win it this year, do your best to position yourself so that you can win in 2026. That's what we got, and that's what we're throwing at you from the Birdhouse Dynasty show, trying to make you all winners, except in leagues that you're going up against us in.
That's right.
So you're going down. All right. Thanks for joining us today. We love having you in there. Hit that like button and subscribe for more great content. We're throwing everything at you that we possibly can. You can check me out on the Dynasty Rewind. I'll be out there this weekend. I'll be doing the Sunday night recap with them. I did the Start Sit show last night, so check that out over on the Rewind. I'll be answering questions on there all weekend long to help you set your lineups for this ever important week 14. For that, for Matt English, good luck this weekend. Hope you're getting into the playoffs and doing some winning. And remember, never stop working.